Please don't do this to me. Keep the dad jokes to a minimum.
All right, everybody. I'm going to declare us live here. I got to give a shout out to Ben Raz. I haven't talked to him in a little bit. And here on the PGA DFS Strategy Show, it is Tuesday of the Bermuda Championship. And Eric, as of right now, he is not in the field. However, by the end of this show, he very well could be with how many things are changing. We'll talk about that. No, we won't. He's not going to be in the field, but we will talk about who is actually in the field here this week. And while, Eric, it may not be a great field, there's still 100,000 reasons to play PGA DFS this week. Also, a couple of reasons to play over on Prize Picks, sponsor of our show here this week. And I'm going to throw Eric to the wolves because when I was doing a little surfing around, I found that they offer just a fantasy points number for their over-under thing. So I want you to give me a couple of picks for tonight. Again, remember, over on Prize Picks, it is just player props. You don't have to worry about ownership or anything like that. So give me a couple of props, fantasy points over-under for tonight's basketball slate. Eric, I want to win a couple of dollars.
Well, luckily, we also have Odd Shopper. We also have the NBA player props tool. So it is not that hard to find some good value immediately. Looking at Julius Randle right off the bat there, he's at 22.5 points. I think that that's about efficient. Kemba Walker, 12.5 points. God, he's been really, really bad here in the onset. He might be somebody who's cheap on other DFS sites. That looks pretty efficient. But you get into Evan Fournier here, 14.5 points. I love the over for him in this spot. We have a 69% expected win percentage on Evan Fournier. You're looking at this Knicks team that I think is going to be pretty good. I mean, the East is not nearly as good. You've got a 4-0 Bulls team. You've got a number of teams, Ben Simmons still out for Philadelphia. The East is definitely going to be up for grabs here, but I think this Knicks team is pretty well constructed. Evan Fournier can go out, get a bucket here. It looks like at 14.5, that's just too low of a number here in a spot that up against Philadelphia without Ben Simmons out there is not nearly as good defensively. Of course, Joel Embiid's still there. He won't be on Evan Fournier. Just smash the over there.
Okay, so you got to add one more in for the Prize Pick game. Of course, I'm going to give my pick just because I like Luka.
Oh, let's
Luka
go.
Doncic, 28.5 points. I think he's setting up for an MVP type year. So I'll go over here tonight. You do both of those. The over on Fournier, the over on Doncic. It's going to pay you 2-1. Bet 20, you're going to win 40 there. So check out Prize Picks. And again, they typically do have golf, but because of the fall swing season, they either don't get them out till a little bit later or skip it altogether. And this week, for the Bermuda Championship, I wouldn't be surprised why. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the fall swing, Eric. We've got just about a month left of golf. Seems kind of weird because this week is the worst field we'll see all fall. There's no doubt about it. It almost feels like this should be the last week, right?
Mm-hmm. This is heavy lifting. This morning was something. I was trying to come up with guys I wanted to play, and it was basically I'm going to be playing the ownership game, and I think we all should be playing the ownership game. It's a short course. It's a very easy golf course. I don't know. I'm having a tough time figuring out exactly what I want to do. Fortunately, we have the PGA Live Before Lock show. I know I'll get my CSV this time in, as opposed to the NBA where I got the wrong CSV in. Uploaded that for Wednesday. It was during NBA, and I kind of got sidetracked and forgot that it was locking at 4:30 out here on the West Coast. Just completely threw me off. So good to be back to a normal lock time where I just stay up till 2 a.m. anyway.
Yeah, I guess it works out a little bit better in that regard. For me, yeah, I didn't really get much watching in because Carlos Ortiz was my biggest play, and he decided he didn't want to play in the rain on Saturday morning and just withdrew from the event. So that kind of summed it up last week for me. But what I did want to bring up about last week and the theme I'm seeing for this fall swing, what's going on with the winners, Eric? It seems like they're all basically favorites. Now, Max Homa at the Fortnite Championship there, or Fortinet, if you will. Maybe he was a little against the grain, but still one of the top 15 favorites. So definitely different than last fall. What do you make of it? Just the stars knowing that they want to get a win early in the season, or what do you think it is?
Lack of competition. I think that's about as easy as it gets. The CJ Cup is one thing where you at least had a top heavy field, and Rory McIlroy came there. I mean, he was one of the top 10 odds getters still, but obviously that's still Rory McIlroy. And there were a number of players that you wouldn't have been shocked by anybody else winning. I would say though, when it comes to like Hideki, Xander Schauffele, Colin Morikawa, you got to be telling me that it would be almost even money or close to it, maybe 2
Picking
to
those
1
three guys. Yeah.
that you're picking those three against the field. So I don't think it's surprising whatsoever. You're going to see in the nature of this, when you have one or two elite players joining a field, it's almost surprising when they play poorly. It just is that kind of top heavy. The world-class players, just I think that there's less parity between them and the bottom guys. And maybe on easier golf courses, that goes away a little bit, but we're still seeing some really, really strong outings by the top.
We sure are. Now, this week, it might be a little different. We don't have the strong top-end talent. We do have some, but certainly not as strong as we've seen even in weeks past. So we got 130 players now in the field. It's supposed to be 132, but they've run out of alternates. So it's been crazy. If you aren't following here along with us about the Bermuda Championship, to get to the tournament is just a win in and of itself. What you have to do is you have to take a test 72 hours before, a COVID test, obviously, 72 hours before you show up. Then once you get there, you have to take another test upon arriving and quarantine for 24 hours. So it's pretty insane. Obviously, some people have already been there, but how about the 6 golfers that are flying from Japan to here? I mean, I don't even know if they're going to be able to make it. Agee, Hickok, Straka, Malnati, and Higo. Garrick Higo, I think maybe for you and I after last week's performance is probably off the radar to begin with. Mm-hmm. But were you thinking of playing those 6 guys? I mean, Neesmith has been playing okay.
Yeah, Neesmith's okay. It's pretty... this is not traveling. I mean, those guys are not flying private. I would assume that they're not guys that are probably generally going to be flying private the way that Dustin Johnson, or specifically those 3, Morikawa, you got Xander, Schauffele, and Matsuyama. I mean, they're taken care of. Their life is okay, except for Hideki did fly back to Japan in coach. If you remember that from winning
with his
the Masters
shirt. Yeah, that was awesome.
Dude literally was in the airport with a green jacket on, just living his life.
I'm like, draped over one of the seats at the airport, just like so nonchalant about it. You're walking by and there's the green jacket chilling there.
It's the best golf picture of 2021. I don't think there's anything that's close. It's that or it's the bowing by the caddy. I think the 2 are probably the 1 and 2 in some order, but for different reasons. And I try not to factor that in too much. I think you can definitely run into more problems, but I don't think I'm going to be getting to them just on the quality of players that they are. I think we have a number of options to get to. If I get some shares of them, awesome, but none of them are going to be a meaningful part of my builds.
Yeah, let's talk about the course here for a little bit. Port Royal, obviously the island of Bermuda, still under the dictatorship or whatever you want to call it of Great Britain or the United Kingdom there. So obviously the course getting a lot of its name from it, and it's got a lot of link style elements to it as well, Eric. Obviously it's on this side of the Atlantic. Warmer's maybe a little, the water's warmer by maybe a couple bit that it is in Scotland. However, a lot of the same setup. It's a short course, tight fairways, not a lot of rough. Wind is the primary defense. So what say you about good putters here? Is that really all it takes?
I think so. I mean, it's sub 7,000 yards. I mean, that's kind of ridiculous. It's a resort course. We're putting a bunch of PGA Tour guys. I remember, was this the coming out party for what's his face? Wyndham Clark. Okay, so there's been some randomness here, and I think embracing some randomness is going to be the name of the game this entire week. I don't really know what else to say about it. I mean, this place is going to be something that you can just basically hit it as long as you're on the planet. And, you know, on the planet being that it doesn't really matter if you're in the fairway or the rough. Yeah, it's going to come down to making putts. That's kind of what short courses, easier courses have going. I believe you have in the notes because, again, I read your run sheet today. Look at me being prepared. The easiest hole, I believe, on the PGA Tour exists here.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think that you and I probably could birdie it. There was 240 birdies made versus 90 pars last year.
See, I'm arrogant enough to believe that this is a golf course I could compete at. Like, I feel like I could go out here and actually play okay. Shut up.
Tyler don't shake your head at me, Tyler. Saying no way.
Yeah, no. I mean, Sahith Theegala just absolutely murdered me here in Southern California. He's in the field. So, but I mean, there's a reason he's up there. I could be down there at 6K. Just roster me at 6K. Let's go.
I mean, you or Carlos Franco. I mean, it's probably a toss-up at that point.
Honestly, that's 100% me. Stop it.
I would like to see that match. I think that'd be a good one. I haven't seen Carlos Franco's.
That'll be the match 4.
Card.
That'll be the match 4. We'll follow Bryson and Brooks.
And Brooks, yeah, the 13-hole match or whatever it is. The wind is the primary defense. It looks like it's going to be up this week. I think it was even up last year, Eric, and it's still minus 15 was the winning score. If the wind is the only defense, everybody's got to play for it. Looks like 20 on Thursday all day, 15 to 20 the rest of the 3. Some scattered showers. I'm not even going to worry about that because it's, they'll call it. But anybody you want to favor. And that's the weird part is we're going to talk about Island Boys next. And I hope you have heard of the Island Boys by now. I'm sure you probably have, which is pretty great.
I just know Beach Boys, Bermuda, Bahama.
No, you haven't heard the new reggae group that's come out?
No.
Wait, called the Island Boys?
No.
The Island Boys. No. Oh my God.
Please never do that again.
Tyler, that wasn't that bad. You got to give it to me here. But anyways, Tyler knows. Go listen to it afterwards. However, the top 3 golfers or 4 in this field, in my opinion, are better served for an event with a lot of wind. Matt Fitzpatrick, Christian Bezuidenhout, and Patrick Reed. I don't know that we got to stray too far outside of those 3 guys, but let's talk about them. Start with Patrick Reed.
I don't want to.
He's clearly the best player in this field long-term, I think, but he's so bad right now since his injury or sickness, whatever you want to call it. Is this a spot for you to buy back in, or is it just too early?
It depends. And when I say it depends, I'm going to be saying it depends a lot. Right now, he's sub 20%. And the class of player here, I mean, part of why Patrick Reed is here, isn't it just to try to get back on track? Isn't it try to go out and dominate a field?
Cut. Yeah.
And make a cut would be awesome.
Yeah.
So let's start there. That's kind of my concern with him is that, I mean, Matthew Fitzpatrick, these are the kind of tournaments where he just kind of like puts the afterburners on and just puts the foot down. I mean, he just won at Andalusia, which is a European tour event that maybe nobody cares about. I care about. I think it's beautiful out there. But Matthew Fitzpatrick, he on a short course is pretty lethal. I always make fun of him for having a 7-wood in the bag or a 9-wood. He routinely kind of goes towards those type of builds in his golf bag, but the kid is super, super talented with the putter. He's out of his mind. At Andalusia specifically, I mean, we don't have any strokes gain stats there, but it was pretty. Say that again.
I might be able to find it.
Find it for me.
I'll go look. Yeah.
All I know is I watched that Sunday final round. I watched a lot of it, and he made everything. It was pretty impressive. So, but he does that a lot. Anytime he's in contention, I think it's because he's just making absolutely everything. But nothing else he does. He's just solid. And being solid, I think makes you a really good, if you're playing cash. I mean, normally you would never want to be paying up, but I think you would have to play Matthew Fitzpatrick in this spot, but don't play cash, play tournaments. And Patrick Reed, I think he does make some sense. There's got to be some positive regression here soon. And, the opportunity cost of playing him, there's like none. I think if he plays well, he's going to win.
I'm going to guess that he made a couple long putts off the green. When you were watching on Sunday.
I think he did.
Only reason I say that strokes gain around the green was 2 for the week. So almost gained 8 around the green. We know that's mostly with the putter. I mean, when stuff like that happens, especially on the European tour, other stats looked okay. It was really just made a couple around the green that were big. Let's talk about who I think is clearly, in my opinion, the best player over the last year in this field. And it's Christian Bezuidenhout. I think that a course setup, first of all, perfect for him. Not very good off the tee. He is the best putter in the field when he gets going, or Fitzpatrick or Reed, I guess. He probably won A, B, and C. And has been very good with his irons. Hasn't missed a cut in God knows how long. I see no reason that I shouldn't get 50% of Bezuidenhout this week.
Woo, okay, yeah. Fire it up. Let's go. I mean, around the green putter,
compare it,
he's a short game wizard. He's a wizard.
You're a wizard, Harry. Past winners. Yeah, we look at the past winners, Brendan Todd, maybe a better Brendan Todd, and Brian Gay. Well, kind of similar situation. And for me, here's where I'm debating. It's Matt Fitzpatrick versus Bezuidenhout. Well, Fitzy's coming off a win. Bezuidenhout's still searching for it. I'll lean there. And then Reed, just too much of a question mark. So that's why most of my lineups are starting with Bezuidenhout this week.
Everybody can get to the par 5s and 2. Everybody can hit it off the planet. As long as you're in play, you're going to be having a lot of short irons. You're going to have a lot of scoring opportunities. It does come down to a lot of around the green putting. And I think routinely you brought up a number of players who have just gone out here and performed, and they kind of all fall into that breed of player. I don't want to extrapolate a bunch of data to eliminate some of the guys who go out and bang it, but yeah, it's looking like a bees and hoop kind of spot. I think that definitely does make some sense. 50% is a nice little stand to make, but I think you gotta make stands, because if you're not going to be playing Fitzpatrick, who I think is the class of this field, I don't think anybody's going to necessarily argue with that. Nope. But right now, when you combine current form and long-term form, whereas opposed to Patrick Reed, of course, he dominates the long-term form. He's got 2 green jackets. I really do think that Bizanut is a great play this week. I was making fun of you a little bit earlier for being obsessed with him. It's more of just like, it's so strange to see somebody up there in the 10K price tag who just is not a 10K player, but that's the kind of field you get this week. So if you feel confident about that, and there's no reason you shouldn't, looking at his last 50 rounds of data, 4th strokes gained around the green, number 1 with the putter, him and Matthew Fitzpatrick, if you can put them both together in a lineup, I mean, they're like the same guy to me.
Okay, so now I have a section here later that we're going to talk about called the Core 4, or Bermuda Triangle, if you will, for this week, since it's in Bermuda. But I have a way in which you and I can easily roster Fitzy and Bezzy in the same lineup with no problem, given who they priced at 7,000. I know you and I are both going to love him. We'll talk about him later, but he does.
Hustler.
Yes. It's
okay, cool. I didn't know who it was, but I knew who it was. What? Yeah. What? No. Tyler, if anybody's watched these shows, they know I'm a mark for this dude.
They do.
Anybody who beat the shit out of me here in Southern California, I'm a big fan of.
I will say also, if they don't know you're a big fan, well, they can check out our top golfers tool, find out a little bit who we like. That is part of our premium product that we have for free today. Also, NBA, that's going, player rankings, and NHL. My gosh, we have so many sports. I love it. Top stacks over there. Jake Harry doing some great work in the NHL streets. So let's move on. A couple of more favorites here. We're moving down the board. Seamus Power. I would say he's more of a 10K guy that is not a 10K guy than Bizanut, meaning I'm not getting to a lot of him. And Hayden Buckley, you can't deny the recent form, but I just can't stomach paying 9.9 for him.
So your guy might be Beasy, where, I mean, again, I think being at the field, he's 18%. I like playing Beasy in this spot. I'm going to have a lot of Seamus Power. I like Seamus Power.
Is he like 7% right now?
He's under 10%. Yeah, he's under 10%. He's the only guy in the 10K range, even remotely close to under 10%. Hayden Buckley, I suppose, 9,900. He's close to it. I'll put him in the bucket as well, but he's 11.5. Seamus Power has just treated me well when I've been on him. Even at the Shriners, he didn't end up completely burning me. He was 7,400 in that tournament. And I brought up that this is a great Seamus Power spot, and getting the top 70 or all sub 70 bonus was such a nice little perk of that entire week. He got there for me. And so Seamus Power was in a really nice lineup there. So it was nice to be on the right side of him again. I think I played him at Sanderson Farms, not nearly as fun, but coming off of that Barbasol where we just kind of missed out on some of his talent. The guy's extremely talented, and top 10 at John Deere, top 10 at Rocket Mortgage. I think he's definitely one of the top 10 players, I think, of this field. I just feel really confident about him. I feel really confident about another guy down underneath 9,500, and we'll get to him here in a second as well. I don't know. Seamus Power is just somebody that always sticks out for me whenever I go and model, because his strokes gained data is outrageous. He's number 1 in strokes gained over long-term over the course of 50 rounds here in this entire field. He's second tee to green. I know that that's not really factored in, but then he's number 2 around the green. The guy's good at everything compared to everybody in this field. So I think you have to have interest. I'm going to be going there pretty heavy if he's going to be under 10%.
I understand that.
Hey, I gave you Tommy Fleetwood last week.
Yeah,
this is my Tommy Fleetwood.
Yeah, and I think Seamus Power, I love the fact that it's 7% owned. In those lineups where, say, I want to go up from 7,600 as my last golfer, let's say from Alex Smalley, Dylan Fratelli, up to Nick Hardy, I can come off of Patrick Reed and go to Seamus Power and feel okay about that, for sure. Getting below the 10K range, though, it's a little bit of a dead spot for me. Mateo Schwab is interesting at 9,700. We've got 3 top 15s in the last 4 starts, so that's pretty good form, but hasn't really showed us a 9.7 type of salary. Chad Ramey, we know he went through an incredible run on the Korn Ferry Tour, stumbled out of the blocks, maybe got it in the last 2 weeks, so he's interesting. Mm-hmm. but I'm really having a dead range. I'm not gonna lie. I like Thomas Dietrich at 8,900. He's the next guy.
It's a dead range. I think that's the right way to put it. I mean, the nice thing about Chad Ramey, if you want to take shots there, is that there's just not a whole lot of PGA Tour data to extrapolate, to put together. I mean, he had played the Sanderson's Farms back in 2018, and I think that was his last PGA Tour event, leading up until the Fortinet, where he missed the cut, right? Yep. So we have 4 PGA Tour events to really pull data, and he was much better at the Shriners, top 15 there. That's nothing to scoff at. Lost a stroke and a half around the green, 1.7 strokes gained putting. But tee to green is going to be where he dominates in some of these spots. And this isn't a great golf course, I don't think, for that kind of skill set to really excel compared to the rest of the field. I think everybody should be pretty straight off. So Chad Ramey, I think he's intriguing because you just never know with guys like this. And if you believe in him, if you have something that you really want to pull from, you want to be early to the party. I say that all the time in every single sport, whether that's rookies in the NFL or the NBA or in golf, when it's guys coming off the Korn Ferry Tour, you want to be early to your guys, because once people see the talent, they're already there and you can't mine anything out of it. So I think that's the best case I can make for Chad Ramey.
All right, chat. Mr. Mike Campbell wants to know who Ludwig Auberg is. A Swedish golfer, 21-year-old from Texas Tech. Here's something, though, for you, I'll guess. Because it's rankings. Who knows what it all means, Eric? But he is ranked number 3 in the world in the amateur rankings. So he's probably a good player. Goes to Texas Tech. 7,100 this week, though. Seems a little expensive. Or is he 6,900? Sorry. Nope, 7,000. It was right in the middle of the 3. Seems expensive when you've got somebody that performed better than him in college, $500 cheaper. We'll get to them in a little bit. Moving down the range, I've got a list of Euros here, and I've got kind of little sub lists off of our island boys here. I already mentioned Thomas Dietrich to you. Now I'll list off the other 4 that got into the field through this new sponsorship or deal with the European Tour. It's Guido Migliozzi, David Lipsky, Lucas Herbert, and Danny Willett. Now I think Lipsky has the Korn Ferry Tour. So, but all European Tour guys. Any interest in any of the 5?
Hadwin and Danny Willett. Those are going to be 2 guys I get to a lot on this golf course. Adam Hadwin, putting extraordinaire, short game extraordinaire. Adam Hadwin can
not really, a Euro, but that's fine. I'll let it slide.
Well, he's not a Euro, but but I put him. He's in that lower 9K range.
Yeah,
sorry, I threw him in. Fine. But Danny Willett is. I heard Danny Willett, and I was just waiting for you to say Danny Willett because I'm going to have a ton of Danny Willett this week. Everybody knows that he's somebody that hadn't played well forever since he won the Masters. And then in recent years here, the last 2 years specifically, he started to turn it on. He ended up winning, I believe, that final, the Order Tour, the Tour Merit deal in Saudi Arabia, right? He ended up winning the final event that they had there.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of jump-started everything for him. Ends up winning the Alfred Dunhill Links here. You talked about this being a windier spot. I don't know if you saw the weather. It was garbaggio over there over the weekend.
Was it?
Up in Scotland.
It still got to -18. Jeez.
Yeah, he played really good. And you want to talk about strokes gained data from making putts off the green? He made about 3 or 4 of those. I'm just telling people, like, my entire childhood and I should be betting more of that stuff because I loved Danny Willett at that event. And I kept looking at the number and I was like, I should bet it before I get into it. I was like, I haven't really researched enough of the Alfred Dunhill Links. It's a pro-am event. And, I was like, I feel pretty good about all these guys kind of waning off that are flying back over. Tyrrell Hatton played well the first day and then fell off the map. I was like, I think these Ryder Cup guys might fall off the map. And I should really go to Danny Willett coming off an off week. Just didn't do it. And I'm disappointed about that. So I think I've got to kind of ante back up with Danny Willett, some of the stuff we're seeing from him. I think he's just going to start turning it on in some PGA Tour events here. Didn't play well at the Fortinet, of course. Shriners 21st there. He pretty did his typical crazy around the green stuff. He's one of the best chippers of the golf ball on planet Earth. And if he can be a little bit positive, he gets these random spiked putting weeks. I think that if he can do that out here, if it's windier, if there's some spots where you need to just kind of be threading the needle, Danny Willett can be your guy.
So when we dip below Danny Willett, I mentioned Thomas Dietrich's name, and he's got a weird card right now. Last 2 weeks have been awful. But before that, the Dutch Open came in 4th. BMW PGA Championship was in very good position before signing a wrong scorecard and getting disqualified, which I do not understand how it happens in a professional golf event. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But whatever, here we are, passing on. So I like Dietrich because it looks like 6%, Eric. I can go and get 15%, get close to 3x. And if this guy goes nuclear with the putter like we've seen, he's going to be right there, and I'm going to love that spot. So he's one of those, if I'm building just a one, say Bezzy or Fitzy, he's the guy that I'm going with next to it and clicking Thigala's name again as well.
Yeah, I'm clicking Thigala. I think that's my biggest issue with it is that I like the lower 9K range. I think this is a great week to just avoid the 10K range in a lot of builds too. I mean, I like Beasy. I like Seamus Power. I like both of them quite a bit. Seamus Power, I'm going to get to quite a bit of 10-2, but that's also ownership, all things considered there. But that lower 9K, I obviously like Hadwin and Willett. And then for me, when Dietrich is just sitting right next to Thigala, it's just such an easy click for Thigala for me. Didn't play well with the Shriners, but it was still 70-68. I mean, it was more of a process of people just kind of taking it really, really deep in spots. I try not to factor when somebody misses a cut when it's -4, -5 too much. Exactly. On the number. When somebody misses the cut playing well, it can be one or two shots here or there. And nothing really looked alarming from that. He just didn't play well enough compared to everybody else there in the spot. But when he gets through on some of these cuts, I think he's going to really make them count. Similar to what we saw. I mean, I was really disappointed that we didn't end up getting even like a top 3 out of him.
Yeah.
Top 5 at the Sanderson. Oh, I was so tilting because we were both all over him there. And he was like my second or third highest owned player. And it was really, really disappointing to have that happen. I think we go back to the well here.
I think so too. Migliozzi had a hell of a run through the summer, obviously at the US Open. Almost got his card, came just short, but does qualify in this new exemption thing. Form isn't great. 17th a couple of weeks ago at the Willett win at the Alfred Dunhill, but a lot of miscuts separating it. So because of that, we get him at 8,700, which still seems a little expensive given his form.
Yeah, I'm curious because I feel like he's still a DFS darling, not to the extent of Xander, who everybody clicks on in every major like it's their job. Yes, Tyler Xander, that's you. Everybody just likes the name Xander. Cool, congratulations. Or they like winning money and I don't. So there's the other part of it. Xander's pretty good at golf. I just don't really ever click on this guy anymore. I used to when nobody knew who he was. And there's, the opportunity for this talent to really kind of shine. I don't know, 8,700. I feel like he'll start gaining traction. We're seeing right now sub 10%. I would be surprised if that was the case, just because it feels like a name people click on more than they probably should. Give me pretty much the rest of the range if that's going to be the case. But at 6.8%, he is popping in our projections. Somebody that I think Alex probably is pretty high on this week comparatively. And, we want to be playing the ownership game a lot more than we normally do. You can write off a lot of long-term, short-term form just by saying, hey, this kid could be very talented. He's super low owned. The Gal is 14.3%. And as much as I like him, should Guido be half of that? Probably not.
David Lipsky is the last Euro that I want to talk about. Well, Lucas Herbert too. You can talk about him as well if you want, or talk about neither and tell me you're fading both.
I don't really want to play a lot of either of them. I mean, do you have a case you can make for either?
Lipsky is very similar to that boomer bust form. I mean, we've got a 4th at the Andalusia, missed cut at the Sanderson, 22 at Fortnite, missed cut at the Corn Ferry Tour final. So feast or famine. So if we get 5%, which it looks like,
but the one thing I don't like about David Lipsky, I'll say this, because he ended up putting himself into the mix because of one good round. He shot 64 on that Saturday. And I hate when somebody it's the exact same thing. What's his face who shot 61 here 3 weeks ago, the Wake Forest kid, Masters. Zalatoris. He shot 61 and it made his entire tournament look so drastically different. And
right, because I think garbage the other 3 rounds.
Yeah, you remove that round of golf and you're like, what am I looking at? So I know that we have to count all 4 rounds, but I think it's easier for me to be able to say, hey, he does this quite a bit at the Fortinet as well. 64 in the middle of 3 or 70 plus rounds. So he's somebody who can take it deep here. More of a showdown play for me, I think, probably than somebody that I want to be rostering this week.
Now, in between Migliozzi and Lipsky, we've got a bunch of good putters. Like literally, that's all they do well. Denny McCarthy, Steven Yeager, Ryan Armour, Garrick Higo. Could even throw in Scott Stallings, but Stallings is more of a ball striker. He's also a boomer bust, missed cutter, top 5 in his last couple of starts. So of all of those good putters I mentioned, do you want to play any do we go back to the well with Steven Yeager because driving is really not going to matter this week? Or is he going to find the Atlantic Ocean too much off the tee?
Put your hands in the Jaeger, Jaeger. I'm trying to be you. I'm just trying to come up with dumb bits.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Jaegermeister. I think we can take a shot.
Jaeger bombs.
See what I did there too? Another one. I think he's fine. I mean, another short game specialist. So I want to put him into that bucket. Yeah. I mean, that's what he's known for. Around the green, number one in the last.
Him or Denny McCarthy then?
God.
Same player to me.
Okay.
Same player,
honestly, that's a good
price.
Question. That's interesting. Yeah. I'm finding myself not enamored with a whole lot. I mean, Neesmith is maybe more intriguing, 7K there. I'm looking at the 8K range. Sorry, here we go. Peter Uline is yeah. I'm looking at some of these cheaper plays I like a lot more, I think, than trying to get to. Yeah, they're pretty comparable for me. Denny McCarthy, this lower 8K range, but I'm just kind of like looking at some of my model stuff as far as, you know, where I'm projecting some of these guys. And there's some 7K range guys that are just sneaking up above this 8K range in terms of what I want to be doing with them. I mean, both of them are gaining enough ownership. I'm probably not going to get to a whole lot. If I like the lower 9Ks and, you know, trying to get a 10K guy in, I'm going to have to go dumpster diving here. And Bo Hostler, of course, is going to be just a big part of my builds, as well as one other guy we'll get to. But for sure, both are probably decent plays. I just find it hard for me to want to get over 11 and 13% ownership on them.
Right. And I think that these next five guys I want to talk about have had better falls. Now, I know that McCarthy has played at least a little bit better in the Vegas swing, right? No, 17th at Sanderson Farms, but sandwiched by 2 missed cuts. For 8,500, I know that he's played okay here. I would rather play Nick Watney, Russell Knox, Harry Hall, Bo Hostler, and Austin Cook, all who have had a top 20 in the fall and don't have as many missed cuts. So of those five guys, are you in agreement? You'd rather play all of them over McCarthy and Yeager, or not all of them?
I will say Scott Stallings is the ultimate, like, why did he play well this week guy? Like, I have never played Scott Stallings, but there are times when I'm like, damn it, I wish I had, because he just spikes random weeks out of the middle of nowhere. He goes from being a large dude to losing a ton of weight and becoming a fitness guru. And you know, I was like, oh, well, I'm going to start rostering him here. And I can't remember what happened, but I know there were a lot of MCs next to his name and it didn't go well. Not somebody that I vibe with, but you can probably make a narrative. It's super, super weak field. He's another guy who just isn't going to gain a lot of traction, but I don't want to roster him. I don't want to click on him. I think all the five guys, you said Watney and Knox and Hostler, of course, you said, which just like signed me up for all of it.
Yeah, it's getting into the range where I think you're going to have to mix in a decent amount of guys. Again, all the golfers that I just mentioned are playing pretty well. Harry Hall is a guy that we really don't know a lot about, but for all intents, Eric, he's looked really, really good, and definitely a name you want to keep an eye out on. And also a name you want to keep an eye out on, well, that's Adam. Ship My Money, DFS, you guys know him. Well, his NBA deeper dive all week this week is free, part of our premium content. It is an incredibly good article if you are playing NBA. You listen to your slate starter mixed up with his deeper dive, man, you are so far above the field there. I've seen so many screenshots in just the first 3 days. So check out that free article from Adam. I was talking to him yesterday. He's a great follow on Twitter too. I don't know if you know that or not, Eric. I'm sure you probably do by now. All right, let's go on and talk about a couple more guys here. Here's some guys that have made 2 cuts in a row, right? We got to get 6 of 6. If we get 6 of 6 this week, we probably got a good chance given the field, right? So Luke Donald, part of the featured groups as well.
Jesus.
J Spawn, same golfer as Luke Donald. No, not same golfer, but you get the point.
They're 100 pounds apart.
Oh, Jesus. Lee Hodges, I'll skip that for now. Lee Hodges put together 2 rounds in a row. Brandon Hagee has a couple 54th place finishes in a row, but still made 2 cuts. Matthew Neesmith, we've talked about a couple of times. Alex Smalley, but he's in that camp of shoot 61, like you said, and nothing else is good. Nick Hardy, that's an interesting name there, and Mark Hubbard. So I'll start with Hardy and Hubbard, both of very good interest to me this week in the high 7s. Don't think there's going to be a ton of ownership there, a decent amount. However, I think they're playing pretty good. And long-term, I think this Nick Hardy kid could be pretty decent.
I think you could be too. And anywhere you get your strokes gain data, I mean, putting is the one thing that's an issue there, but you're not going to get a random spike putting week from everybody that is already fantastic at putting. If you get one from Nick Hardy, it could be really, really nice because his tee to green game is solid, 10th amongst this entire field in the last 50 rounds. You're looking at strokes gain approach, 25th being his worst outlier stat aside from putting. So pretty flat across everything. Looks like he could be pretty decent. I think there is some interest to going there, but you said Mark Hubbard is the guy we're comparing him to.
Yeah. Same price.
Get him off the tee and you could have some fun. He's got that stupid little putter that I can't stand watching him putt with. You know what I'm talking about?
I've got one kind of like it, and he looks like he's on the ground when he's putting. Yeah.
It's like a 29-inch putter.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Matt Wallace's is like 25. So
they're so weird, but yeah. Back problems incoming for Mark Hubbard. So roster him now before his back falls apart.
Decent start to the season as well. 2 made cuts. So Hubbard is just a grinder. That's why I kind of like it here. Russell Knox is another name I brought up. We didn't talk about, but in the 7,700 range, I think he's going to be a lot of those last guy clicks in the lineup for me. The way I'm building 7,700 has had a good fall, has had some good success here, and from Scotland should be able to play in the win. So all boxes checked for Knox this week.
Yep. I think Russell Knox is interesting. I think you brought him up earlier. Maybe I poo-pooed that for a second, but yeah, if it's going to be windy, Russell Knox, he's the ultimate ball striker. Again, you're going to be rostering some of these guys that aren't just fantastic short game specialists because, you still have to hit the ball well. Well, he hits the ball really well. Third strokes gains approach. Part of going low is hitting the ball close to the hole. You can get away with being a little scatter shot off the tee here. You can get away with, not having the hottest putting week. But if you hit the ball close to the hole repeatedly in wind, which I think he's somebody who's capable of doing that, you're going to make more birdies than the average man. So yeah, Russell Knox makes some sense in that range. I would rather click on him. I do think that somebody that's going to start getting some traction, just for sure, is Peter Uihlein. I think getting closer to lock here. But Russell Knox, I know he's the most popular player of the entire 7K range, but there's a reason for that, and I think it's good chalk.
You mentioned Uihlein. He's on a nice string of golf, 4 straight made cuts. But how about the guy priced right with him? Give me a second. Just pulled it up. There we go. Sorry about that. Nick Watney. Yeah, bet you didn't know that his cousin Heidi used to do the Boston Red Sox games a long time ago. Anyways,
I did not.
Yep. Heidi Watney, very good announcer. Anyways, thought I'd bring that up as a little tidbit. But Watney is playing better golf. He did, I believe, fulfill his medical status with that second place finish. So he's just back playing golf now. Is he Ross Sproul at 7,800, 3 straight made cuts here in the fall swing?
Yeah, I think he's fine. The guy we skipped over, though, I mean, at the exact same number, Aaron Rai, he's much better than everybody else in this entire range. He's the best golfer in this range. I want to play a lot of Aaron Rai.
We're doing it again?
Oh, God, yeah. We're going to go down with the ship as many times. If Aaron Rai is under 7,500 and you're going to get him at 10%, I mean, it's a joke.
In this field,
it's a joke. And I am going to just continue to roster Aaron Rai. I have no problems about it. The guy has won not majors, but serious golf tournaments. He won the prequel to the Open Championship this season, the Scottish Open. He's done very, very well in windy type conditions, and 7,300 for this dude is just an outlier price. I would rather roster him than any other player in the 7K range, and that includes my boy, Beau Hossler.
Oh, that's bold.
I'm just saying, I love Beau Hossler. I'm going to have tons of him, but I think I'm going to have even more Aaron Rai.
Okay, then.
You're like, I do not agree, and you are a dum-dum. Well, I need a new co-host.
We tried to do this a couple of weeks ago, and he let us down so.
Oh, we're going to let one golf tournament change our perspective of a player who's won on the European Tour in multiple times.
I want to see him make a cut on the PGA Tour first. It's 3 missed cuts to start his career. I don't know, and then he goes back to listen. Here's what
I'm going to make a bet on Aaron Rai this week. I'm just making a note.
BMW Championship tied 14th. Mm-hmm. Great on the Euro. Looked good all 4 rounds. Looked solid. Didn't make many bogeys. 3 straight missed cuts. Then goes to Valderrama, another tough golf course. Doesn't shoot above 72. Comes in the T25. Mm-hmm. So he can only play against the Euros. That is what you're telling me. Which I guess that just goes to say, Aaron Rai, to bet him. There's your sticky note. on Aaron Rai this week. All right, let's move on from Aaron Rai. He is in my little subsection, Eric, of maybe has talent or upside or neither. So this is what I want you to give me. Talent, upside, or neither on these next golfers. We're going to start with Austin Eckroat from Oklahoma State.
Oh, all the talent in the world roster.
Okay, love it. Dylan Fratelli.
God, this guy.
Upside, but
downside.
Right.
Like, I don't know what else to say. I would rather roster Eckroat.
Okay. Patrick Flavin.
I don't know who that is. I'm not going to even lie to you.
Okay. Been a grinder on the mini tours. Won the Monday qualifier to get in here. Has been playing on the Forum Tour, which is the Mackenzie Tour. Been playing.
Never heard of him.
Well over there. I think he's like 25 years old. Still kind of young.
What's his price?
I think he's 6,700.
That is really high for a guy I've never heard of. And I mean, I've heard of, I think everybody, period. I hope there's your boy, Kurt Kitayama. You're going to roster him, aren't you?
You got to see the next section. We'll get there.
Oh, okay. I'm just looking at this entire range. Patrick Flavin. Yeah, no thanks.
You don't know. Vincent Whaley, one of the only few golfers in with 3 top 10s in the past 12 weeks.
Yes.
Okay. Bo Hogue.
Always.
Okay.
I mean, Bo Hogue has just been like, he's been like consistent, hasn't he?
Yeah. One of the best putters in the field. So if you're going for that route, I mean, absolutely. Adam Svensson.
Meh.
Nick Taylor.
Meh.
Okay. Let's see. Grayson Sigg.
He's interesting. So Grayson Sigg is somebody that I kind of took a look at a little bit yesterday and didn't really know what to think of it because he was popping in my model. Anybody who pops in my model that I'm just like, what are you doing here? I have to look a little bit further into. Grayson Sigg just always kind of throws me off week in, week out. Is he in? I mean, did he? Yeah, there he is. Okay. So off the tee, that's always kind of been his strong suit here. Doesn't really do anything else well. But if it gets windier, if it gets difficult, there is some unexpressed upside. And the Punta Cana, he ended up finishing top 10 there. I think that's as close of a comp as we're really going to find. Did you do any kind of Corrales course comp like in this spot?
I think I might have last year when the events were similar in time. Obviously they're both seaside courses. They both only defense is the wind. I mean, there's a lot of similarities. So I think Sig, that's why I brought him up. I thought he made a little sense here.
Yeah, I think he does
him
make
a couple weeks ago when he was terrible. But
that didn't make sense. So Grayson Sig, again, we are looking for anything to be able to combine top 10K guys. But for me, most of my builds are going to have one 10K guy, and then they're going to have 1 or 2 9K guys, and then it's going to be low 7K and maybe one of these dudes in the 6K range. But not a meaningful part, but I definitely think that he's intriguing more so than probably some of the other guys you're going to be clicking on.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we've got still plenty of time here as 5:30. That's our next show. It is the NBA Deeper Dive with Lofty and Adam, who we just talked about. And then, you're going to come on after that for our live before lock. And you're going to be on a little bit after with Greg, too, doing a little bit of early sweating of the action. That's always a fun show to check that out. That'll be a lot of fun. And got a couple more things I want to have fun with this week here at this event. This section I'm going to call Because I/we, you can bring up yours, have a problem. My 3 golfers I have a problem with in this field that I always play and probably shouldn't. Brandon Wu. I'm going to play him again because he missed on the number. Kurt Kitayama, you just brought up, and my new favorite, John Pak. Any interest in any of those 3? I'll tell you about Pak if you need to, but I think you know.
Yeah, I know about Pak, but I 6,500, my guy. I mean, I think Pak is probably below him though at this point. Here's the thing. 1 is a known, or 2 are a known quantity. Brandon Wu, Kitayama. 1 is an unknown quantity, and I would rather take the unknown quantity and take my shots with them than anything that I've seen out of these other 2 cats. Oh. Brandon Wu had all the talent in the world, and it's just not happening.
Yeah, what's going on?
It's not happening. It's not. But I also feel like I'm your sponsor. Like I feel like we're in a 12-step program where I need to talk you off of Brandon Wu and Kitayama every freaking week. Yeah. Dude, just don't do it. Just go home, just don't have that extra drink. Just go sit down, put your hands, just sit on your hands and don't do anything. Don't play them. It's not going well. It will not continue to go well.
Same price as John Pak, cheaper than Brandon Wu. Jimmy, I should say, hard K-Nos. He needs a big one here this week. I believe it's a top 6 to get his card. He's worked hard. He, came in T5 at the Live and Work in Maine. I did live and work in Maine, believe it or not, in the golf industry, if you will. But the 11th at the Fortnite was very encouraging. Here's a guy that when he came to the PGA Tour through the Korn Ferry a couple of years ago, looked like he was going to be a solid player, but then got hurt. I think it was his hip, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to look that up, but still, he needs a big week this week. He's shown form in the last month. I think he's probably rosterable, maybe even over John Pak, but I'll probably play John Pak over him.
Yeah, I probably won't be clicking on him either. I mean, I have 2 disgusting plays in the 6K range. Can I interest you in any Ted Potter Jr.?
Yeah, so I was going to ask you about speaking of mini tour, this guy is an absolute legend in the state of Florida.
Yes.
For it. What's intriguing you about Ted Potter?
That he hits the ball absolutely nowhere, and this is going to be the first time in a long time. The one golf tournament he won out of the middle of absolutely nowhere was Pebble Beach, and it was super windy and it was garbage. He ended up going super, super deep at Monterey PCC or MPCC, Monterey Peninsula Country Club, and just a guy that is a grinder, a guy that at 6,100, I think you can do a lot worse if you're trying to get some of those really, like, I don't even want to say elite players. If you want to get to the 10K range multiple times and try to get some of those builds to work, he is by far, and I mean by far, my favorite play under 6,200. There's not even another name that I think I would click on. And Ted Potter Jr. Can actually make some of those builds work. It's not good. I'm not sitting up here saying that it's going to be good, but in the same way that Scott Stalling shows up out of the middle of nowhere, at least I've rostered Ted Potter Jr. in some spots where he's been 61, 6,200, and he has upside out of the middle of nowhere. So you can do worse than him.
Yeah. I agree. You certainly can do a little bit worse than him. I mean, Jesus. Not
much. I mean, he's terrible, but whatever.
John Rollins is in the field. Heathcliff Slocum. I thought he was a closer for the Red Sox. He's somehow in the field.
Camilo Villegas is the other guy that I'm absolutely in love with this week at 6,800.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, that seems low.
It's a low number. And these are the kind of tournaments that he plays well in. Like, he goes out, plays some of these, like whenever they have the Open Championship, he always plays well that week when he's not in the field there. The RSM, which is another golf course that I kind of have as a close comp to this. Last November, he finished 6th. So, I mean, we're looking at, again, that's like a Sea Island special kind of outing in this spot. The Country Club de Bogota, that would be in February 9th, going back to then. He ended up finishing top 5 there. He has upside, 6,800. There is definitely going to be a strong possibility I have 10% or more of Camilo Villegas.
Probably the best story of the week. I like to always bring these up with you. This is a good one. Brian Morris, if you haven't read about this one, Eric,
Country Club guy. Yeah.
He is terminally ill and going to be playing in this event, has like a 6-month frame to live. I mean, it would be the best story of the year if he was able to make the cut. Not going to obviously promise anything, but still a great story. Would love to see him do it. All right, let's get into some strategy talk here, which we've kind of been messing around with, but I'm going to call it the Bermuda Triangle. We're going to pick 3 golfers that we're going to build most of our cores around. We're going to do 2 different lineups. We're going to do a very aggressive lineup. So for me, that would be 2 10K guys. Mm-hmm. And then we'll do a more balanced build where it'll be just the 1 10K guy. So okay. I'll go first. I'm going to start with the more aggressive one. I think it's pretty obvious. Poseidon Hoot, and then you can pick either Reed or Fitzpatrick and Bo Hostler. I am going to make at least 40 of those type of lineups with Hostler in there this week, which is going to give me somewhere 30% of them. He'll be in with a bunch of Poseidon Hoot. That's my 3 for, I know I gave you 4 names with Reed and Fitzpatrick, but that's who I'm going to be working off of for a lot of my lineups in that aggressive build.
All right. I like the aggressive build on that. My aggressive build is going to be going more power and throwing that into the mix with Danny Willett, Aaron Rai, of course, Bo Hostler. We're both on. That leaves you 8,100 putting those 4 in. And if you're trying to get really, really aggressive, again, Shahid Thigala, 8,800 for him. Or if you want to get another 10K guy in, so let's go the Bazidin route. Take out power, 7,850 per player. I mean, if you really want, I do like playing some Camilo Villegas this week. I don't know if that's going to be a hot take or not. Looks like the roster ship isn't there necessarily. Thigala, 100 left over on the table. I think that looks like a good single entry lineup. Willett, Villegas, Rai, Hostler, Beason, Thigala, sign me up for something like that.
Nice. I definitely see where you're going there, dipping a little bit low. All right, so for my conservative more build, starting with Bez, again, he's my number one pick.
Yep.
Next guy I would go to, you already just mentioned him. I'd click Thigala, and then I think with this third guy, 7,600 left per player, I'm going to start with Nick Hardy. I really think that he's a Wyndham Clark-esque player where this could be the breakthrough. He gets hot with that putter this week, and if he does, his ball striking stats, Eric, you already mentioned, are probably some of the best in the field. So I think you could go him. He would be my click. Russell Knox obviously would be the chalk favorite here. And I don't mind that either because I think I would go more against the grain with the other three picks. So Knox or Hardy for me as the third guy.
I think throwing into the mix too, and maybe I undersold it. I didn't. I said absolute love. We just didn't talk about him because there are so many guys to talk about. Austin Eckroat is an automatic cash play. Like you should automatically at 7,500. He is an 8,500 plus talent. The kid is somebody you want to be early to. Oklahoma State breeds these dudes. It happens every single time out. He's going to be, I'm just pointing it out, and I'm just going to say this right now so that I have it on the record. He is going to be a top 25 player in the world within the next 2 years. There's no doubt in my mind, Austin Eckroat, he's the next coming out of Oklahoma State. They have continued to show guys. He has more in his game than I think Matt Wolff does. And I think he's a very close comp, not quite there, of the Finnish dude that why am I even blanking on his name?
It's good.
Now?
It's how.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
So Austin Eckroat, I'm obsessed with. Play him a lot.
I can't wait to hear what Raz, our buddy Jazz Raz, says about this tomorrow night. He has dealt with me for years being early on some of these guys, early on Morikawa. You wanted to be. I was early on Brandon Wu. You didn't want to be. It happens. I'm with you on Eckroat. We've seen the talent. The kid can absolutely flat out play. In 7,500 a year from now at this event, when he's 9,800, you and I are going to be like, well, we told you so.
Wanted it on the record because we haven't seen him yet.
Love to hear it. All right. Long shots now. We've already mentioned a couple. You've mentioned Ted Potter. I mentioned John Pock. I mentioned, Chat mentioned, I can't take credit. Chat mentioned Jimmy Hardkay. Below 7,000, so 6,900 or below. Let's give a couple of names. Paul Brajan would have been in play, but he withdrew, so take him out of the player pool. Austin Cook has had a pretty good fall, a couple of top 15s. I think maybe him, and then Cameron Percy, fantastic with his irons, but terrible with everything else. So those are two guys I'll have some of.
Like it a lot. What do I need to do for this segment? Do I need to
below 7,000? Just below 7,000, and give me some guys that are going to be in your lineups.
Okay, Camilo Villegas, I brought up multiple times. I like the Austin Cook. I don't know what my initial reaction to it was, but it was probably incorrect. Austin Cook, I do like. Getting a little bit lower here. I think Sean O'Hare is interesting at 6,600 if you're trying to get different. He's been on and off the tour just forever. I mean, the guy's been around, I feel like, for 15 years, probably something close to it. I know he had a crazy dad, had a bunch of issues and stuff way back. But he's somebody that can definitely express some upside at that kind of a number. But I brought up Ted Potter Jr. I think that he's very, very intriguing. If you're trying to play two studs or quote unquote 10K player studs, he's somebody you could probably click on. And last guy I'll put into the bucket, Jonathan Bird. Talk about a grinder, talking about somebody who has been on tour for absolutely ever. Jonathan Bird, 6,300. He's another guy that was popping up in earlier builds for me.
Yeah, he's out there hoofing it on Monday qualifiers, even though he's
carrying his own bag.
He said that he's doing it to show his kids that hard work doesn't, come easy. It's a cool thing. He's well and good for his career. He's made a lot of money, but he's still showing his kids what it is. I think it is pretty cool. I'm not going to lie to you. There was some other guy. Oh, Austin Smotherman, and Chase Seifert. Both players that are not playing good, but have played better in the last, say, 3 months. Chase Seifer, I mean, he came in second in a big time event on the PGA Tour, or third, one or the other. So you got to think at 6,600, we might have to look at him this week. No?
I mean, he's popping in different projection models. Just don't want to do it. I don't.
Moon Bay. Chat brought up Sang Moon Bay.
Sang Moon Bay. It's just I haven't seen him forever. Sign me up for a little bit of him. I missed that guy.
I'm rooting for him. That's for sure.
I used to play him a ton. Did he go into military service? Is that what he had to go do?
Yep, that's exactly what he had to do.
Derailed his career. I mean, he was this guy back in 2015, like at the inception of PGA DFS. I remember playing him at the Barclays in like 2015 or 16 or something like that.
Winning. Yep.
He was 50. So this is back when salaries were underneath 6K for golfers. He was like 5,900 and I had like 80% of him at 5,900. And it was one of my biggest golf weeks ever. So I have really good vibes with Sang Moon Bay. There we go. Thank you.
I really am scared that this is the same thing that happened with Bay is going to happen with Siwoo Kim. We're just coming up to that line. We don't have to talk about that this week. All right, last guy I want to talk to you about as coming up to our time window here. This is an interesting one, more of a talking point than it is a play this week. But Kyle Wilshire got a sponsor invite here, I guess. I don't know how. He's known for helping Bryson become the long drive guy that he is now. He's a long drive champion, obviously, on a 6,900-yard course. Doesn't seem ideal. I don't think there's many holes that he can drive. Does he come within 3 of the cut?
No.
Okay.
I mean, are they going to lengthen out to 8,900 one day? And he's got a shot.
Then he's got a shot, right? No. I don't think that they're going
okay. No alternate tee boxes.
Not that I know of, but they could use one for him.
Just wanted to check.
All right. Well, that's going to do it here. Next week, we do go to Mayakoba. It honestly is, if I had to pick one event to go to, like this resort, Mayakoba next week is absolutely second to none. It is incredible. Ricky Fowler will be the highlight of the field. I'm glad we'll get to talk about him again. But if you want more Bermuda Championship takes, we're going to make sure we get Ben Raz's input tomorrow on the Live Before Lock show with you, Eric. And until then, check out my short form video where I give some of my other top picks and fades. This week, you'll find out why I'm fading a guy we didn't talk about once, and he's above 10,000. We didn't even mention his name, Mito Pereira. Didn't even know he was in the field, did you? Well, I'm not playing him this week. Too expensive, not a good enough putter. Are you playing him?
No, guy that we never brought up earlier that I'm playing, Taylor Pendrith as well. Wanted to say his
9,100. He is
Wanted
playing
to say his
better.
name.
So funny. I can't believe we didn't bring up Mito Pereira. I apologize. It just shows that neither of us are playing.
Not enough time in the day, my friend. Not enough time in the day.
So sign Guillermo Mito Pereira up for a win this week. And on that note, everybody, good luck at the Bermuda Championship. We will see you next week down for another seaside event, the Mayakoba Golf Classic. Till then, cheers.